What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my entire physical TBR. So I actually have a few more books than these. I do not know where they are. So I'll just include them in little pictures around me if I can remember what they all are. But for the most part, these are pretty much all the books that I have on my physical TBR, and we're going to be taking inventory of them. So I know what I have coming in 2024 in terms of what books I really want to read. Let's get into it. So essentially in this video, I'm just going to be showing you all the books on my physical TBR, a little explanation on why I haven't read them yet, if I think I'm gonna get to them in 2024, and counting how many books I have on my physical TBR with you guys and seeing if it's plausible to complete my entire physical TBR in 2024, because I like the idea of having 0 books on my physical TBR so I could get some more. All right, so let's begin with the stack closest to me. I got these first few books at the library all for 10 cents, which was amazing. But the first one is The Emerald City of Oz by L. Franklin Baum. This isn't necessarily The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, it says Dorothy is back in Oz. Listen guys, I just picked out books from the library that I thought were cool and that I wanted to read. I've always wanted to read The Wizard of Oz, but I think this is part of the series or something. I don't know how it works, but I have this book. So this is book number 1. Book number 2 actually came with a little bookmark, which I wasn't even really aware of, but this is L.M. Montgomery, Emily Climbs. So L.M. Montgomery writes a lot of coming of age stories of young girls and like going through their life with them. This is the second book in the Emily novels. The first book is right here called Emily of New Moon. So I have the first 2 books. I'm kind of want to go back to get all of L.M. Montgomery's backlist. The next 2 books on the TBR is Anne of Apollonia and Anne of the Island, which is the second and third books of Anne of Green Gables series, and I loved the Netflix show that they did of her. I'm really intrigued because I love how wholesome it is, I love how real it is, and I just want to read her entire backlist because I think that it'd be cool, and I also like how small and collectible these covers are. The next 3 books I got for Christmas, and they're just a bunch of Christmas books. You might see me read all of these this December. So the first one is A Christmas at the Island Hotel by Jenny Colgan, then A Little Christmas Spirit by Sheila Roberts, and then Christmas in Bayberry by Jennifer Fay. Then it's the last Christmas book that I had for a little bit. I did not get to read it this year, but I have Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. It's 3 little holiday romances. It's actually now a Netflix movie. I'm interested to see if I'll like the book more. Next we have Remarkably Bright Creatures. My best friend's mom actually gave this one to me. I'm excited to read it. I heard that it was one of 2023's most raved about books. So this is a literary fiction, and I'm pretty sure this little octopus on the cover has a point of view. So I'm excited to read it. I think I'll really like it. Then we have a few thrillers. So we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I kind of want to read this in January because I have a reading goal of 80 books this year. I don't know how, I'm already behind. The year just started and I'm behind my reading goal, but I want to read it because I heard that this book is a very fast-paced read. I think I will most definitely get to this book in the beginning few months of 2024. The next thriller we have is Not a Happy Family by Sherry LaPena. Both of those books was also gifted to me by my best friend's mom. I think I might get to this in February. Then we have The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore. I don't know much about this book, but it looks very cute. The summary seems very sweet, so I think I will enjoy it. Also, the cover, my favorite. I love it. Next we have The Summer Book and Rules by K.L. Walther. You best believe I'm gonna be reading this in summer. That's the only time I'm gonna start this book because I want the summer feel. Then we have, I think this might be a fantasy fiction / literary fiction, realistic fiction with mystical elements, magical realism, but also like a mystery thriller twist. I think that's what it is. It's called 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. If you read this, let me know because I haven't met many people who have read that book. Then we have Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. Depending how much time I have in January, I'll try to get to this one if I'm ever feeling like reading a romance, but lately I have not been caring at all about romance books, so we'll see when I get to this one. And then last but not least, I have the infamous Divine Rivals. Let me tell you guys, I attempted to read this book while I was in the middle of a book slump, and I got all of 2 pages in and I could not get through it. It's not that I wasn't interested, but I wasn't interested. I didn't feel like continuing. At that time, I didn't even even really want to read at all. Like, didn't really matter what genre, I just didn't feel like reading. We'll see. I know the second book has already come out. I'm gonna try to get to this book at some point soon because everyone loves it, but no promises. I don't know when I'm gonna get to this. A book that I know that I have that I cannot find is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I definitely want to get to that book this year because on my goals for this year, I want to read 10 classics. So that's gonna be one of them. I also have the Grimm Brothers fairy tales in the leather-bound, gold foil, all the works. I didn't bring that out because it's extremely heavy and it's also underneath a bunch of other leather-bound, gold foil books. So I'm just gonna list them out to you. I have Shakespeare's Adventures, and then I have Moby Dick. So those are the 3 books. Hopefully I will get to this year. Oh, and I have Shakespeare too. I want to read at least one of Shakespeare's plays. I want to read a few of Sherlock Holmes stories, and then I want to read maybe 3 Grimm Brothers fairy tales. Moby Dick, I'm not sure I'm going to get to this year. Well, we'll see. But because those books are so big and they have so many little short stories in them, I'm going to give myself a little leniency. I'm not going to tell myself to finish the entire book, but they are absolutely stunning. All right, now we have Dead Wake, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania by Eric Larson. I think this is a historical fiction. I really wanted to get into that more this year because I find that I really enjoy it, and it's the only way you can get me to learn history because I do not care unless it's in a book that's historical fiction. Then another classic we have is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is my husband's book and he's actually read it, which I think is really cool. He's annotated a little bit of it. I definitely want to get to this year because I'm just fully intrigued. Like, this is a hunk of a book and I've always wanted to read Dostoevsky's work, so maybe this will be the year that I start this. Then we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I don't know anything about this book. All I know is that Rachel Catherine loves it and she recommends everyone to read it, so maybe I will do a booktubers choose my reads and this book will be in it because I don't have motivation to read a romance anytime soon. So we shall see when I get to this as well. Next is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I also got this book because of Destiny Sidwell. Both of these books are probably going to be in the same video of booktubers choose my reads, and I'm just gonna be reading their 5-star reads because, like I said, I couldn't care less about romance. I literally could not care less about romance right now. Next we have A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is my all-time favorite author and I want to own every single one of his books. I've so far read Mere Christianity, The Four Loves, and I've read Narnia by him as well. I want to continue reading his work because I think he has great wisdom to impart. Definitely gonna get to that book soon this year. Now we have the first 2 books in the Left Behind series by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. I have Left Behind, which is the first one, and then I have Tribulation Force, which is the second. These were lent to me, so I need to get to these books this year so I can give them back. They seem extremely interesting, but I think I have to be in a certain mood to want to get to these. So maybe February, maybe March, we'll see, but these are definitely giving winter, maybe spring books. I don't know. All right, next we have The Typewriter's Tale by Michelle Hines. Also a historical fiction. I'm very interested. I just never got around to it in 2023, so this definitely must be on the end of the year recap in 2024. Then we have Knowing God, which I've talked about in literally so many book videos. I haven't gotten to it because, like I said in every single video, it is so intelligent and intellectual and it has so much wisdom and revelation that you can't just fly through it. You have to take notes, you have to highlight, you have to digest it. I'll get to it when I get to it. Then we have The Night and Its Moon, which is part of a Fae series. I have the second book. I did not buy the third. I tried to read it. I still have the bookmark here. I got to page 119. It's just kind of falling flat for me. There's really not much happening. It's just these 2 Fae orphans in an orphanage, and then they both want to escape, and then they finally escape. There's nothing else happening. Like, there's really no substance. There's no plot line. Like, they're not trying to get to anything. They're not running away from anything. They just are doing things. So it's not very interesting to me, but we'll see if I continue reading it if I get to it. The second one is somewhere in here. I'll tell you when I get to that. And then we have a book that I actually started. It's called Switch on Your Brain. I'm currently 31 pages in. This is The Key to Peak Happiness, Thinking and Health by Dr. Dr. Caroline Leaf. I really like this book because it is essentially a neurosurgeon. She's actually a communication pathologist and audiologist who's worked in the area of cognitive neuroscience since 1985. So this is credible work. She's literally a scientist. She's a neuropsychobiologist, I believe it's called. And from her studies, from her research, from her also science companions, and also from scripture, she's written a book telling you how you can rewire your brain so that you're healthier, happier, and more consistent and more diligent in your everyday life, and you just become more like Christ by changing your mind. It's very, very cool. I've been posting about it on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, I'll leave all the links below. Next up on the list, everyone, is 3 volumes of R.C. Sproul's literature. We have The Holiness of God, Chosen by God, and Pleasing God. I have no idea when I'm gonna get to this, but I'm very intrigued and excited. This year, I really want to read A.W. Tozer's work as well. He has a book like this that's 3 of his volumes in one, so I want to purchase that some point soon. On to the hardbacks. I have the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is huge. I do not know what this is about. I think I want to go into it blind because I enjoy books more when I go into them blind. I definitely want to get to this year though. Now for probably the biggest book I own is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This book you could literally use to lift weights. It is so heavy. It is so massive, but the cover is absolutely stunning. Like, look at the spine. It's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. It has 868 pages. That's crazy. Now we have Francine Rivers, Her Daughter's Dream. I feel like the majority of Francine Rivers books are super duper long. This one's 564 pages. I think I'm gonna get to this through audiobook. This year I definitely want to get into more audiobook reading. All right, now we have The Normal Christian Life by Watchman Nee. I've talked about this book. I've started reading this book. I'm on page 70. And then we have The Master Plan of Evangelism by Robert E. Coleman with a foreword by Billy Graham. I think I could get to this book this year for sure. It's only 121 pages. Okay, next is a book that I'm going to dedicate an entire video to because I'm sure it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. I Have a Little Life. Next, we have another C.S. Lewis book, which is The Screwtape Letters. This is a book about 2 demons writing to each other and trying to essentially latch onto this person, but in the end, spoiler alert, the person becomes a Christian and the demons lose. I think it's a very interesting spin on how C.S. Lewis speaks about Christianity in life and the world at large. Then we have The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. I think that this is also a historical fiction on the Vietnam War. Now we have The Deeply Formed Life by Rich Violas, and it is 5 transformative values to root us in the way of Jesus. Now we have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Yes, I will get to this book this year. This is probably going to be a buffer book in between maybe a historical fiction and a Christian one. I don't know. All right, we have another historical fiction, With the Old Breed by E.B. Sledge. Oh, this is about World War II. Next, we have Gay Girl, Good God by Jackie Hill Perry. This is about Jackie Hill Perry and her testimony going from someone who was homosexual to someone who is changed and saved by grace and saved by God, and marrying her now husband, Preston Perry, and having a family with him. I'm excited to read her testimony. I think that it's really cool that she opened up about it. All right, next up, we have a book that was also gifted to me. It's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It is the updated edition by Peter Scazzero. It says reality-tested ways to deeply change your life as a Christ follower. So as you can see, I have a lot of Christian books that I haven't gotten to yet. Also this year, I think I wrote down that I wanted to read 15 Christian books. I started one. Along with reading the Bible every day, I still want to know how people are applying the Bible in their lives and also what revelations they receive from the Bible. It's good to, read about people who are older than you, wiser than you, and see what they've learned. That's why I want to do that. This is the second book to the Fae series that I told you that I don't really care about. It's called The Sun and Its Shade. Will I read them this year? I'm gonna try. All right, guys, we're down to our very last stack. I have not been counting, so at the end of this video, I will count all of them and let you know. Take your guess right now. Comment down below. If you've been counting, comment down below how many I have. This is And the Shofar Blue by Francine Rivers. I will also be listening to this on audiobook. We have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I started this book last year. I also downloaded the audiobook on Spotify for this one just in case. There's just some books that are not as, they don't hold your attention for as long as you want. You want a book that consistently holds your attention so that you can't put it down and you want to keep on reading. This book has my attention, but it's not an urgency to read it. Now we have The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I also started this book last year, like in November when I was in a book slump. Audiobook. Now we have Dune. Here's the thing about Dune, all right, by Frank Herbert. No one warned me about what Dune would be like. I did start it. I got to page 26. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who's talking. I don't know who is who. I don't know why they're talking. There's like a million different characters that switch out every chapter. I do not know where the plot is heading. I don't even know if there is a plot. I literally just I don't get it. Now I have Wherever There Was Light by Peter Golden. Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I'm currently reading Foul Heart Huntsman by Chloe Gong. All right, this is the second to last book, guys. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. And last but not least, a book that I actually told myself I'm not gonna read is Fury Song by Rosaria Munda. Unfortunately, this is the last book in the series and I do not care at all about what's gonna happen in it. That is the last book on my physical TBR. Let's count all the books that I have on my physical TBR. I have 53 books on my physical TBR. Last year I did this, I think it was like in August or September. I had 34 books. Now I have, what did I say? 53? I don't know how I feel about that. It's not bad, but I don't ever want to get to the place where I have 100 books on my physical TBR and I just keep buying more. This is basically the plan that I had. I don't want to buy any books until I finish at least one book off of my physical TBR every month. The reason why I say one is because these books aren't fluffy romances in the fact that I can just read them in one sitting and be done and, you know, it'd be mindless. The majority of them are Christian books, meaning I have to pay attention. Like I want to pay attention to these books because I want to learn something from them. And then I have these super in-depth fantasy books that are like 600 pages long. So I can't fly through those either. That's why I say one book. I have to read one book off of my physical TBR every single month if I want to buy one book. So if I don't finish one book off of my physical TBR every month, I cannot buy any books that month, which I think is a pretty decent rule that I'm setting for myself. If I get through 25 or 30 of all these books this year, I will count it as a success. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. These are all the books on my physical TBR. Comment down below how many books are on your physical TBR and what you're currently reading. And I will see you guys next Saturday for the next video. God bless you guys and peace.